We're here.
My name's Copeland, and I'm a Tar Heel.
One of the top junior college linebacker prospects in the nation.
There was just this thought that I was very inadequate.
My priorities were, how do I feel okay? If I could find Xanax, I was taking Xanax. Smoking weed every day. Full-blown addict. No one knows. Got offered the youth pastor role, which is insane to me.
My dad's looking at my blood tests, Xanax, opioid, amphetamine, weed.
And I'm an addict, and now I'm pastoring, 100 kids. I can't hold this anymore, but I don't know how to fix it.
We're here.
We're here. Man, I want to jump right into it.
Let's go.
So you've skyrocketed and become such a great voice of hope and encouragement, motivation, and it's been amazing to see. But I know that comes from having to walk out of dark places. And so, man, take me to that place. Take me to the journey into addiction, the journey into that dark place, and what happened there that enables what you're doing today.
When I was really little, you don't know what is going on when you're a kid. You really don't. And also your parents don't know what they're doing because their parents didn't know what they were doing. And I love my parents and I love my family, but I'm the oldest of 3 boys. And grew up in a very churchy, religious home. Also don't have a problem with religion, but there was just a huge thing in me, this thought that I was very inadequate. And I didn't know that that's what I felt, but subconsciously it's what drove me. Sports was a huge part of my life, and the performance and the goal setting and the working towards becoming the best, it all came to prove, I did all that to prove that I was good enough.
Yeah.
So I remember growing up and all these things, and I grew up in Texas, and football was a huge part of that culture there. And so I was a happy kid. But when I got to high school, things kind of shifted a little bit to where I start to feel this like deep anxiety, this deep stress. I didn't really know what I was feeling. I didn't know how to even go about that. And so at the same time, I'm growing. My dad was my coach growing up. He was very behind me on it. He wanted me to do it. He wanted me to get a scholarship. Mom the same way. She didn't really care about sports as much, but they wanted me to be the best that I could be, and I see that.
Yeah.
But something, I think the driver was this fear and this lack and this performance, and it began to catch up with me in a very deep and subconscious way that I didn't really understand. And that driver was my inadequacy.
So you're feeling it from like a religious place, or?
I always thought that God loved me. I just don't know if I had the correct picture of who God was, maybe. And it's hard to say exactly what it was. It's not like I had a terrible childhood. It was, I do think that there were some like things that happened with my parents, and not things that were like so in your face. It's like I can't sit here and be like, my dad did this, and this. It's not really about that. I'm not trying to paint them that way, because it's not what happened. It's just like things were translated to me as a kid that love meant to not make people upset. And so, and then to also prove my worth. And so my whole life was like me walking on eggshells. I didn't want to make the people that I loved and looked up to upset. I thought that they were perfect. My dad was a pastor. My mom was a pastor's wife. They were very, at that time, buttoned up, and we act this way, and this is how people need to perceive us. And I knew the the sin and downfall in my life at the time. And I didn't feel like there was a disconnect there, because the way that they were and the way that the pastors were that I were around and the way that, you know, the other families were, well, there must be something wrong with me. There was a defect because of the fear that I felt, because of the struggles that I had as a kid, because of this anxiety that I'm feeling. There must be something wrong because I feel this way. And I just remember dealing with a lot of anxiousness, really from like 8 years old and on. And so my junior year of high school, I hit a growth spurt. Really my sophomore year of high school, I hit a growth spurt, and I got as a varsity football player now, and I just started falling apart. And I know that sounds weak, but I wasn't trying to be weak. It was this, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. How about like culturally, football wise? I mean, in the middle, because high school football in Texas is as big as it gets at that point.
Well, you think it's so important at that time, and it was important. It felt like my life was on the line on a Friday night, and really looking back, it wasn't that important. It's just funny that I'm not trying to say anything bad about coaches, but it's so funny that these guys took it so seriously. Like, it's a high school football game, but to us and the guys on the team and like my family, like it was life or death, which is kind of crazy to me when I can look back and see it now. Like, why did they care more about that than like me?
So no out there. That's
no.
Another environment of
no out
intensity.
Home is not an out, because like God's wrath and like what he thinks of me, and you need to be buttoned up and make sure that you're in a good place and your heart needs to be right. And at home, it's like, well, I can't be honest. I can't tell them what I'm dealing with, because if I do, like, it's going to turn into like a 3-hour prayer meeting, and they're going to send me to, you know, church camp for 3 days over the weekend. And I don't want to do that. And there was no safety as a child because of the religious side of things. And then going into high school, I'd kind of found a way to live a double life, to where it was like me with my friends and me with my parents and my family and the church community. And I got pretty good at it. But then being introduced into like varsity football, those coaches were very fear-based. You do not mess up. And it translated and communicated the exact same thing. And so I was also a different person on the football field and with the coaches, and it was this tightness and in my chest, this tightness within dealing with coaches, with dealing with my parents, with dealing with pastors. And there was something wrong in me, is what I thought. I'm anxious. I'm very fearful. I have these urges to like find relief. And I was at a country music concert with all my friends my summer going into my junior year, right before the season. And I had my first drink of alcohol. And alcohol wasn't my drug of choice, per se, moving forward, but it was the first time I felt okay, this relief from that.
Yeah.
And when you feel that relief in the midst of being very fearful, being very, you know, everything feeling so scary, well, you keep on chasing it.
Yeah.
And so it became this beast in me. And really what I turned to was marijuana, weed, smoking, and it just started to compound in my life, because all I could think about was like, I need to feel better. I need to feel okay. Through that, like, I was excelling at football.
Yeah.
I'd gotten pretty good at like holding things together and controlling scenarios and like being a little sneaky and, you know, getting scholarships to go play at the higher levels. So it felt like everything was under control, but at the end of the day, like, the inadequacy that I felt was just growing. because it felt like I was hiding and I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. 2 little brothers, I'm not going to speak for them, but my middle brother was kind of like in the same boat as me. Our youngest brother is a lot younger than us, and so he was just so little during all that. And so I ended up getting a scholarship to New Mexico State University, and I would have had more, but I tore my ACL my senior year, and it just kind of set me down a bad path of painkillers and stuff like that after the surgeries and that kind of thing. And so I ended up going to New Mexico State, every night smoking weed, and I knew that there was drug tests. And so I played that season as a true freshman, and I decided that I was going to transfer because I wanted to play at a higher level.
Right. No.
Ended up going to Navarro Junior College.
But never got
caught.
Never got caught.
Never got caught. Hadn't really been caught.
Yeah.
At that point.
So through junior year, senior year,
senior year, freshman year,
yeah.
I didn't really get caught. My parents would be like, my mom would be like, I can smell your breath, or, you're a kid. And so again, when I look back at it, I'm just like, was it that serious? Like, I wish someone would have just talked to me, or like not made it so life or death. Like it just again, it compounded to this fact that there is something seriously wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I don't believe I'm good enough. And I hadn't come to that conceptually yet. It was just this feeling that I didn't know what the feeling was. Transferred to junior college. I was there from my second semester of freshman year to my second semester of sophomore year, and was one of the top linebackers in the nation, led the nation in tackles, and I knew I could play that well. I was good. And through that year, smoking weed every day. If I could find Xanax, I was taking Xanax. If I could find painkillers, I was taking painkillers. And that was before the whole fentanyl crisis of like, luckily, or I would probably not be here, because I don't know where those pills are from. And
so just as stuff you come across stuff.
Yes, please, just make me feel okay. And I hated myself for it, because I remember praying to God at night and just being like, please take this from me. Like, why do I take this addiction from me? And I didn't want to say that I was addicted, like, take these feelings from me. Like, I don't know how to like make myself better. And like, why won't you make me better? The amount of prayers I prayed and the amount of times I went down to like the front at church and just was like, tried to get resaved, like, I was like, there must be a defect within me. But again, on the outside, things look good. JB's,
you're crushing it as a linebacker.
Just got a scholarship to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So those 4 years were kind of where it all started, and then everything started to fall apart when I went to North Carolina on scholarship. Probably when I think about North Carolina, it's probably the most embarrassing time of my life. Well, at least it started the most embarrassing, hurtful, dark time of my life within the first couple weeks.
Okay, so what happened there?
Well, again, I was one of the top linebackers in the nation. I go to North Carolina. They had a good year. North Carolina is a basketball school, but I was like, my biggest dream was to play in a Power 5 conference. So we're in the ACC, we're playing Clemson, we're playing Florida State, we're playing Miami. And I get there and I just completely crack. Like, far from home, don't have anyone, didn't really have many friends, very insecure, very awkward. Like, I just was a shell of myself.
Did the pressure go to a new place as well? Like, now that you're at that level? And
I think so. I guess obviously it did, but really it was just like, as you rise, you know, in anything, I think the pressure gets more heavy, but like also those pressure points start to crack, and like I couldn't, everything was more detailed and in depth, and like the meetings and the school was a lot harder, and but really like the drug addiction just got a lot worse. And so I get there, and I'm coming in at the beginning of the second semester of my sophomore year. They had just come off a big season. I'm kind of the new guy on the block, the junior college guy. I didn't come in with all these other guys at freshman year. They've all been friends for a while. Again, I'm a very outgoing person, but at that time I was not. I was isolated. I felt alone. And I didn't really have any tools to help me to regulate. And I didn't even know what that meant. It was just, maybe I just need to read my Bible. Maybe I can just say another prayer. And I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it because I was scared of what mom and dad would think. And I ended up going to like a party my second week there. And two things happened within the first month. I said, okay, I'm going to get off weed because I know that they're going to test me. I'm a junior college guy. And so I got off weed, like during Christmas break before I went. And I'd been off of it for a month. And so I was clean. And I get there, and I'm going to talk about the party in just a second, but I get there and I'm there for like a week and a half, just like anxiety ridden, like not okay.
Yeah.
It's cold. I'm not far from home. I don't know any of these people. I'm scared. It's just this little kid in me was just, I just felt like I was itching to like, I just hated it. And it's funny because it's like I worked my whole life to get there, and I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't like it, and it was scary, and it was, I don't know, I just felt so out of place. And one of my roommates comes in the room after about a week or two and was like, hey, you want to smoke with me? And I was like, nah, man, like they're going to test me. He's like, you would already been tested. He would already been tested. And he like puts this bowl in front of me, and I was like, dude, I can't. And I don't know this guy really. And like, I'm also awkward still, and I'm not making excuses for myself, but I said, you know what? Okay, screw it. Like I'll have a little bit with you. That night, I get a text. We'll see you at the football center tomorrow at 6 a.m. for a drug test. And I was like, fuck. You know?
Yeah.
And that was like, that at that moment I was like, I'm screwed. So I'm figuring out how to how do I pass this test? What am I gonna do? And I get there and I pee in a cup, and I was just like, you know what? I'm caught. It's over. Well, it takes a week to get the drug test back, and the next day we all go to a party, and I'd been drinking, and I went to this frat house with a bunch of the guys, and this frat kid started giving me a hard time, and I punched him in the face so hard and broke his jaw, like very badly, and like teeth on the ground. And I was like, here we go again. Like it was just like I had no,
Just cracking it.
just self-control, and I just was like, oh my God. Well, the next day they figured out who I was, and his mom called me and they tried to sue me. And so I'm like, oh my God. Well, I called my mom, and she wouldn't help me. She was just mad at me. And so I ended up not getting sued. I had to like figure out how to pay them for his jaw surgery. And so I figured it out. I started selling Xanax to pay her back. I paid them back and tried to make it go away, and it did go away. But that next week I got busted for weed. And, you know, the coach calls me in, and I just felt like such a failure at the time.
Yeah.
Like these guys put their trust in me, just offered me a full ride to North Carolina, and I'm over here breaking jaws and, you know, failing drug test with 2 weeks in. And I don't know, you think from that, at that point you would straighten up, but the shame of that, like there was just so much shame of it. They called my parents. My dad is like so surprised, you know, and it just wasn't good. Well, I tried to straighten up for the next 6-7 months.
So that was, I mean, that's all in the first block that
Yeah.
you're in North
Yeah.
Carolina.
We go through spring ball. I'm trying to straighten up. I know that like I'm now on the drug test list. Like I can't do it. So I'm trying to figure out new ways to make myself feel better, you know. And so what I do is I tell them that I need to go talk to like a therapist or like a psychiatrist. And I do. And I tell them what the things are that I'm dealing with, how I'm feeling, and they prescribe me Xanax. And which I don't think that's a psychiatrist's fault. It's what I was feeling, and you know, due to how we run medicine here, that's just what they prescribed me. Well,
but what you had already been.
yeah. And I hadn't really taken Xanax over and over again. I'd taken it a couple times. So I start taking it and I feel better. Like I'm okay. And I start getting addicted to it. Like I'm snorting it. I'm taking extra. I'm running out. And that lasts for about 6 months, and we go into the season. Well, at this time I'm also underperforming, and I'm kind of splitting time for first string with another guy. And the season starts, and you know, it's like we're going to play Georgia. It's a huge game. You know, you feel the excitement. It's like all these bad things are happening, but also like we made it. You can't really enjoy it, but and I play good. We play another game, and then the fourth game of the season, during a kickoff, I run down and I get a concussion. And I'm like dang it, like kind of feeling out of it. They sit me out for the week, and I come back, and it's a bye week, and then I get another concussion.
In practice?
In practice.
Okay.
Yeah, and during bye week, we were scrimmaging. And I like am out. I don't remember anything for like a whole day. So all that happens, and then they pull me in and they said, we have to retire you out of nowhere. Like, you can't play football anymore, sorry. And I'm like, what? Like, I can't play football anymore? Like, it literally just, I haven't played football since that play in practice in 2016. And I didn't know that was my last play. Like, I'd done, my whole life had been up to that point. And then, so I don't even know if I've even processed it yet, which is, I know it's just a football game, but it was my life. I haven't gone back to North Carolina since. Like, honestly, it's just like, it's not like, there's so much shame around it. And it gets worse, the story. So I'm retired. They keep me on scholarship. I'm lucky for that. I'm retired. I'm so out of it. I have headaches. I can't sleep. I stopped going to class. You know, they're trying to help me, but like, I've completely cracked open now, and I start smoking again. Well, of course, I get tested again. And the NCAA has a rule that you can't, if you fail 3 times, like, you get kicked off scholarship. So fail the first time is a slap on the wrist, which is what I'd already gotten. You fail the second time, you get suspended for 3 games. Well, I'm retired, so it doesn't really matter if I get suspended, but I wasn't even like thinking that. But I fail again, my second drug test for weed. And, you know, I'm not playing anymore, so I'm like, they're not going to test me. Like, that was my thought.
Yeah.
Well, they did, because I don't know why they tested me, but at the end of the day, there's no excuses. I was being an idiot. So pretty much like my life completely falls apart. And during the midst of all this, I had failed my third drug test. I meet my now wife. So it's like all of these things happening at one time. I meet my wife.
Yeah.
She went to another college in Arkansas. She was from my hometown in Dallas. And so in comes another person in my life that knows nothing about me. That I do not want to know about me. I don't want her to know anything about me. So I failed 2 drug tests. I no longer play football, and I have like 0 direction for my life. And if I fail one more time, all this is for nothing. I get kicked off scholarship. Like my parents aren't going to pay for college, that kind of thing. So I kind of go home for the holidays. My parents are just like not very happy with me. It feels like, JB, you've thrown away everything. Like my little brothers are like, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm not really friends with any of the teammates there. Like I've isolated myself due to the concussions and like the fear and the embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
And I come back, I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish this semester. And so I come back, I finish the semester but during that second semester of junior year, still the Xanax really, really became a problem. And I started selling it. And I met this guy that I would go and do like runs. Like I would drive 2 hours to Charlotte and I would buy like 700 Xanaxes, come back and sell them all. And like, it was a very, very, very dark semester. I don't really remember much of it because of the fact I was on Xanax.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean when you say like not just that it got dark, but like where the Xanax, where it got so much worse? Is it just
I was overtaking. I was taking 10, 15 a day.
Okay.
Like big Xanax. Like I don't even know how I was functioning.
Yeah.
And the reason it was so dark is because like I was just so disconnected. Like all I cared about was like, I need relief. I need to numb. It just was a really, really bad time. And again, in the midst of it, I'm beginning to date my wife. And she didn't really know what was going on, but we were long distance and I was just not a good person. I was not a good person. And there was so much pain there. And there was a belief there that now I know what it was, but then it was just like, you're a failure. You suck. You've thrown it all away. Your head's weak. Like you weren't built for this. Just self-hatred. And that's kind of how it was for the next year. Just a bunch of Xanax. My parents don't like me. Come home for the summer. I'm done with football. I go back for my first semester of senior year and they test me again and I fail. On my birthday, December 6th of 2017. And I fail my third drug test. And I get called into the athletic director's office and they kick me off scholarship. Again, there's no excuse. So from the beginning of my second semester of sophomore year through the end of like my whole time at UNC was failure after failure after failure after failure. I had no control, very isolated, very insecure. And like, I literally blew up that whole opportunity. And it's still hard to talk about and even think about because of the fact it's like, I still think what's wrong? Like, I wish I knew what I knew now. Well, so that's over. I'm not getting my degree, I guess, at that point. And I don't really know what to do. That kind of season of my life is over. I don't really know where I'm supposed to go. I could make dad happy. I could go home. I could maybe become a pastor. That's what you're thinking. Like, how do I
Mm.
find the acceptance that I want?
Yeah.
That's the thought process.
Was there any thought of this Xanax thing is a problem? Like, from an addiction standpoint, did you have a sense that way of like, hey, this thing is getting worse. I don't have control like I did, or
Yeah. No, there was, but like I also there was some ignorance around it.
Sure.
Like my priorities were how do I feel okay? Which is why I failed 3 drug tests. How do I feel okay? Like I'll figure this out, but I have to feel okay right now.
yeah,
Just this overall feeling of zero tools of how to live a good life. And so my uncle calls me at the end of my senior year and I'm failed out and I still have 9 credits and I'm like, I'm not staying here. I'll tell you that. Like, I have to get out of here. And he says, hey, I'm going to be a coach for a team down in San Antonio. We'd like for you to be the linebackers coach. We'll pay you, 35 grand. And I'm like, hell yeah, 35 grand. And so I just go straight there. Me and my wife, girlfriend at the time, still not in a good place. Obviously there's a problem. But I couldn't admit it to anyone. Like everything was so secretive. So we got married and within that next month of being married, I got offered the youth pastor role for one of our campuses, which is insane to me. Again, I was good at living.
sure,
I knew how to be a Christian. I knew how to act like a Christian.
sure,
And my wife knew something was up and she was just like, I think she started to resent the fact that like, I don't know, like I was like godly half the time. She didn't really grow up in church and like didn't understand the culture of it and was just like, this is overall just weird because like, I know this isn't you, but at the same time, like it was like the only thing at the time that I felt like would appease my dad. And that's a childhood wound I'm subconsciously trying to fill. And,
True.
It's maybe this is all I'm good for, I don't know. Not that being a pastor is a bad thing, but like I found myself in the place that I was trying to escape my whole life. And I'm an addict and now I'm pastoring, 100 kids. And so that happens and this is all moving to a boiling point. I don't know if you have any questions from there, but I can keep going.
Well, I want to get to that realization of I can't help myself anymore. I can't get out of this.
Okay.
I have to make a decision to get help.
Okay. Well, COVID hits.
Okay.
Everything's online. Usage gets worse. And for 3 years, I am the youth pastor of this campus. My wife and I have really grown apart. I'm not okay. I think I'm okay. I'm trying to be okay. I'm praying like God, like I'm trying to stop.
Yeah.
So much guilt. And in April of 2022, I have a panic attack. And that's the first time I've ever had a panic attack where I'd like kind of lost control physically. And my wife takes me to the ER because I thought I was having a panic attack or I thought I was having a heart attack. And I call my mom and within like 45 minutes, my dad's there and they're taking blood tests and stuff like that. And my dad at the time was like my boss's 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 boss. And I'm like, God, this isn't good. And Chloe's sitting there just like, she's just like,
She knows.
she knows. And so my dad's looking at my blood tests. It's Xanax and opioids. It's amphetamines. It's, weed. And at that point, I had kind of gotten a little bit more honest with Chloe, like, because she'd caught me a couple times and she was just like, I don't know what you need, like what we need to do, but we need to do something. Well, my dad found out, and he was just like, I just remember him just like looking at me and like putting the paper down and like leaving. And I was like, well, this isn't good. And at that point I started having like panic attack after panic attack after panic attack. And really for me, what a panic attack is like, this is hit, the Band-Aid doesn't work anymore. My nervous system, after these, you know, what, six years of going through all this, it's like, I can't hold this anymore. But I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And so Father's Day happens, and we all go and hang out with my dad. It's a couple months later. I'm still jacked up. We move out, like we had moved out of our apartment. And
did things kind of normalize a little bit? Like, did you kind of?
I just did what I'd always done and just said, like, I prayed, and you know, I'm doing better now. But Chloe knew that I wasn't. So I'd figured out a way growing up to like ease my dad, if that makes sense. Like I'd be like, well, you know, the Holy Spirit entered me and I'm good now. Like, you know, I went and prayed for a couple days and I'm forgiven. You know, and when it comes to my dad, I think for him, and not in a subconscious way, like he really himself just wanted to be eased. That his son wasn't insane, which I was. And so again, I learned that love was trying not to upset people. And so I just
go back to that.
Yeah.
That like, same place.
Dad, I'm okay. I promise. I had a bad week. Like, I'm going to be okay. But I wasn't. Well, the night before Father's Day, we went and stayed at my parents' house, and we had just moved out of our apartment. We were going to take the summer and like live with Chloe's parents because we wanted to save money. We didn't have a ton. And I was upstairs and Chloe was downstairs with my parents, really just my mom, and they were like whispering. And I was like, you know, am I in trouble? Like, and I just was like, you know what, whatever. Well, that night Chloe had just said like, I'm going to leave JB, like, if he doesn't get help. And like, it's hard for me to tell you guys this because like he gets really weird with you guys, like her talking to my parents, but like we have to get him help. I don't like, and that's not him going to up front to getting prayer. Like he has to get help. So I didn't know this conversation was going on. Like I thought they were just talking about like weight loss or something. I don't know, like whatever those two talk about. And so, which is what they usually talk about. And so I was like, you know what, whatever. Like, I'm just going to watch TV. And she came upstairs and I was like, what are y'all talking about? She's like, oh, nothing. Well, the next day is Father's Day. We all go to church together and we go to lunch. And like, I'm kind of off my rocker. I'd taken a Xanax and I could just tell like my dad did not like me at that point. And I was like, what did I do? Like, am I good? Well, Monday morning comes around and I'm in, you know, I'm a pastor. I'm in meetings and stuff. And we have, you know, student conference coming up and all this stuff. And again, I've been a youth pastor for 3 years, full-blown addict. No one knows. Like, I'm speaking on Wednesday nights. So again, there is a lot of pressure still to like, I have to live up to this.
Yeah.
Well, my dad calls me and he says, hey, I want you to come up to my office. And I was like, oh shit, like this is not good. And so I go up there and he said, I'm putting you on FMLA. You're going to get help. You're going to rehab. And I was like, I don't want to go to rehab. Like, what do you mean? I don't want to do that. He's like, I'm forcing you to, or I'm firing you. And I was like, okay. So
it wasn't even.
I would have rather hid. Like, wow. I would have, like, it felt like too big of a mountain to climb. Yeah. If that makes sense. And so I agreed, but like, I then came to find out that like, if I don't go, my wife's going to leave me. And if I don't go, I'm going to get fired. And like, those are the two securities that I had. So I was like, okay, like,
I have to do this.
I have to go.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't know exactly what I'm getting into, but all I know is that like I'm going to be gone for 90 days
Yeah.
with no phone. I'm not going to be able to talk to anyone. You know, when you are walking into a situation like that, you're just like, I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
So we figure out a rehab. It gets all figured out, and my parents come and pick me and Chloe up the next day from where we were staying, and they drive me down to Waxahachie, Texas, and I just remember like crying in the car, and I didn't know. It's funny, I just didn't know how bad it was, especially for my wife.
Hmm.
You know, and like I think that's where I was like, dang, like, yeah. And so at that moment, they pull up to this big house in the middle of Waxahachie, Texas. There's horses and there's a rehab center. There's 25 guys there, and they say, kiss your wife and you'll see her in 90 days. And I was like, give us your phone. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I guess this is happening. So I kind of just got thrown into rehab of not really knowing what I was getting into, but I kissed her, I hugged my parents, and I walk into rehab, and that begins. That's in June of 2022. That begins this process of restoration. So that's walking you through the whole story from then to there.
Do you look and go, I mean, obviously we identified like a religious environment as a driver for the feelings of inadequacy, and then you get into the pressure of a high level football career, and then that coming to an abrupt, no preparation end, and then kind of locking yourself in a place where you can't be honest about it, you can't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other drivers that as you look back, you go, this was a major factor for me in.
I want to say this carefully because things are different now. But the biggest driver out of all of it, and it was my dad. And he's a person that called me, and every night he said that he loved me. Like he wasn't abusive, but there was a deep fatherhood wound. I can't really explain it. Someone told me that, and I don't know if this is true, and I've always tried to put my hand on it, like, why is there such a wound there? And again, it's better now, but I feel like he, in those times, had so much going on with church, and he cared about what people thought because it was his job, that he would have rather ignored my issues. Now, with that being said, he did ask me a lot, but I wouldn't answer, and he'd say, okay. And so there was there just wasn't a deep connection with he and I. It was all based off of me trying to like make sure he knew that I was okay so that he could be okay.
Yeah.
And so,
which is, some family role in there of firstborn and some of that.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not really mad at my dad. Like I understand, like, and I can sit and I can look at his childhood and how he was treated by the men in his life, and how you're going to have a kid. How are you going to like know what you're doing and how to parent?
Yeah.
So it's not like there's any like resentment there. It's just that there was a childhood wound and there was a fatherhood wound. This is the craziest thing that happened to me in rehab. And the thing is, it's not that crazy, but it was crazy to me. At the very end, she said, we're going to do an inner child healing journey. So I want you guys to close your eyes. And she walks us through this like 5-minute inner child healing where I go and meet little me, like on this bridge, and we hug each other, and you don't really feel anything in it, but you're trying to visualize. And So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I go downstairs, and one of the guys there I was with was this frat kid from OU. The funniest guy I've ever met in my life. Like he just was off the wall. Like and we had an RA there, which is like the guys that stay with us overnight. Like he was this old dude with like crossed eyes. And he was like 5'3", and this kid just loved to jack with him, which I thought was funny. And it wasn't mean, it was just like, I don't know, it was just stupid.
Yeah.
Well, he made a joke about it, and I laughed. And it was the first time I belly laughed. And it was the first time I had laughed in 10 years. Like, it was like I was able to like express.
Yeah.
And like I was becoming me again. Like, I don't know what it was, but I laughed. And I remember in that moment, I just felt this voice in my head say, let that person come back. You're back.
Mm.
And it was funny because like the joke was like not a good joke. But I laughed at it, and I felt this freedom. It wasn't like, it was a raunchy joke. And I felt this like, this freedom to be me. And like, I had just done this inner child healing, and it's like, you know what, like I'm going to just like be me and like say what I want. And like, I don't know, I kind of went the other way. And I was like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to like, I kind of feel like I've been like pushed in this box my whole life, and I can't be like this, and I can't be like that. And like, it's just completely shaved the edges off of who I really am. And like, I feel more myself than ever right now. And so this moment like created this light in me. And from then on, like, we would stay up at night and I would talk to people. I know that sounds like something that anyone does, but like I would talk and have conversations. It's like there was this excitement in the midst of feeling like I was in prison. Like there was this connection again with myself. And a lot of work was done to get there, and a lot, and the therapy and all that kind of stuff. But like, what freed me was a laugh.
Wow.
And I just said, like, maybe I'm like taking things like things have been taken like way too serious.
It's because what I hear is that once the internal stuff is addressed, there doesn't have to be the same fear of the external vices.
Yeah, when you go through that darkness and things are on the line, and in the midst of it, you really don't know what to do and you don't know the path, but you just surrender.
Mm.
And take the time to do the things that you can control, and verbally surrender, written surrender, surrendering all those worries. Over time, like, those burdens are taken. And I had always heard that growing up, like, my burden is easy, or my yoke is easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't understand that, but it was this repetition of me saying, I surrender what my wife thinks of me. I surrender what people think of me. I surrender my financials. I surrender what my dad thinks of me. I'm just going to do what I can do every day. I mean, I would do it hundreds of times a day, especially at the beginning, because there was so much fear around it.
Just letting your ears hear your voice say it.
And over time, it broke.
Yeah.
And that darkness gave me the ability to have faith. That uncertainty gave me the ability to have faith. And when those prayers were answered, or when that faith was answered, that faith turned into trust. And I was like, what am I worried about?
Rob,
what am I worried about?
Right.
And so I came out with that attitude of like, God, life can be good. Like complete 180 with my wife and I.
So she's over the moon, like.
Yeah. I mean, she still had some things to work through, because she had gone through some stuff too, and she hadn't really she'd done some stuff, but she still had some time to work through some things. But at the end of the day, we were good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I came out and I was happy, and I was like, I'm for sure getting fired. I'd already like. What pastor goes to rehab and comes back? Well, they rehired me. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I felt like God said, I want you to go back and I want you to make that better. So I went back for 4 or 5 months and just told the kids what happened. And there was a season there of like 4 or 5 months where like all these kids addicted to things were just talking to me and we were able to help them. And so a lot of goodness came from that time. But like during December of 2022, I knew it was time to go, and I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I quit and said, my last day will be in February. I appreciate you guys. Like, and again, like I was questioning my own thoughts about that whole scenario. So I was like, I can love the kids well, and like we can usher in freedom and let God work, but like this whole thing, I can't be pastoring them if I'm, still figuring myself out. Like we've already gone 3 years of that with me being an addict. Like let's let someone step in that like wants to do this. And so, I quit. And at that time I didn't have a job.
But you knew I did what I was supposed to do.
I did what I was supposed to do.
Back.
Zero clue what was going on.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I'm going to figure this out. But like, I knew there was something big that I was supposed to do. And I decided to buy a camera. Really, my grandma bought me my camera.
Really?
Yeah. And started doing some like marketing work, and things were messy. Like we lived with Chloe's parents. We didn't have any money. We lived with Chloe's parents, and I started doing some roofing and things like that. Well, that lasted for about 3 or 4 months, and then in May of 23, about a year later, I felt like I heard God say, like, I want you to post. I feel like you have something to say. So I did. I went on Instagram and I started filming videos. And within 1 year, I was at 1 million followers on Instagram.
Just saying, this has been my journey. This is what I know. This is what I'm wrestling with.
Just speaking that freedom of like, it's okay to be your authentic self. The power in that, the dreams of the thing that I didn't have growing up was self-trust. I didn't trust myself because it's the flesh, and you can't trust your flesh. And it's just such an abandonment of yourself. Not saying that like we're perfect, but like, why would God put me here and tell me don't trust yourself?
Right.
Sounds pretty stupid.
Yeah.
And so
you're pushing into that.
Yeah,
now
like, I'm going to trust myself.
Trust.
There needs to be coherence here. Like, so, you start figuring, I've gone up and down and trying to figure out like what exactly the message is and all these things. And it's just like, I'm just going to say what I feel like saying in the moment. And it just began to hit. And it really did focus around, emotional, spiritual, mental health, and kind of stop going to church and, that kind of thing. And so like, it's just been its own journey.
Did you immediately, I mean, you breezed through it like a year, you're at 1 million followers here. Like, what was the feedback that you got in that of like, this is hitting, this is like,
like this is like what I needed to hear. And we were in a really healthy place, Chloe and I. We got an apartment. We were good. I was starting to make some money. And I don't want to take too much more time. I don't know how long we have.
We're okay.
Okay.
All right.
But I kind of started going back. I started to lose that glow. I started to lose that confidence.
What was that was taking that back?
I think it was kind of like what you said, with new heights come new pressures. And, I'd felt that. And there was this pattern in my life of when I got to a certain place, I just didn't find myself fulfilled. Tony Robbins says like there's a difference between the science of success and the art of fulfillment. And, you know, when you go to new levels in your life, there comes a new times to grow. And I think it was just time for me to grow again. I just want to go at the pace that I'm supposed to go at, because when I don't and I start to force things, I find myself in a dark hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there has to be
Makes sense.
the success has been built the following, you know, whenever, maybe not the business side of everything yet, but I kind of got that down, like, because I played sports and football and all that stuff. And like, I understand work ethic and all these things, but like what I'm after now is fulfillment. I want to be fulfilled. And for me, that is my connection with God and bringing God into the 3D realm of connecting to him, asking him the 3 things that I need to do today, and doing those things. And when I started doing that, like, my inspiration came back, like my confidence came back. 2025 was kind of dark. Like I didn't really have anything to say. I felt like everything was so forced. I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. But when I finally started to like just take a moment to connect, get out of my head and into my heart, and connect with that inspiration and connect with the divine, it's like things are okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to figure it out, because like God's figuring it out. And I'm going to go back to rehab. I'm going to just do what I can do. I'm going to take care of my body.
Right.
I'm going to eat right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to love my wife, and everything else will work out. And I'm going to attract it. I'm going to let things come to me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that I do on a daily basis, but I got to make sure that I'm doing them for the right reasons. And that's when I get off, is when I start operating out of that inadequacy. And that's what kind of happened again.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
the following got too big and I started feeling inadequate, and some things happened, and I just have to stay grounded, and maybe that's just for this season. I don't know, but like, if God can get me here, then I'm sure he can get me wherever he wants to get me, but I just have to like not be in control, I guess. Yeah.
I love it. Bro, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sitting with me. Thanks for
course.
being open and honest and helping people the way that you do.
Of course.
Hey, thank you for staying with us all the way through this episode of After the Call. Listen, I want to ask you to like and subscribe, and then check out these other moments that we're sitting and letting people tell their stories and be honest about the mess, so that there's hope that they can live with.